Good evening everyone. It's me Chandrakala here. Now we will continue our topic of 5th chapter. We were learning about upthrust and we have seen some basic concepts. That means what is upthrust or buoyant force and the conditions of a body of sinking and floating when placed on the surface of a liquid. We have seen the SI unit of upthrust also. Now our next topic is we have some characteristic properties of upthrust. So we will write some characteristic properties of upthrust. Okay, so here we have 3 points. The first point is larger the volume of the body submerged in the fluid, greater is the upthrust. Actually we have discussed the basic concept already. That means if the volume will be large, here you can write, if the volume will be large, then the upthrust or the buoyant force will also be large. And it's clear because in last class we have clearly discussed that that means as the object will move inside the liquid, then the force needed is actually increasing. That means the force exerted by liquid is also increasing. In 4th chapter we have clearly seen that if an object is placed here, it will experience some pressure. See, pressure and thrust are interrelated with each other. This we have already seen. Whereas if the object is present here, it will have to feel much more pressure. So same concept is here. So from here itself we can say that if the portion of the object inside the liquid will be more, then the upthrust force will be more. So that means how much volume of liquid is inside, how much volume of object is inside the liquid, that will decide the upthrust force. And this is very important thing which we will take care while solving the numericals also. That means we don't have to do anything with this external portion of the object. However, there will be one atmosphere, there will be gases, and they will also exert upthrust force, but right now we are neglecting that. And we are saying that the upthrust force exerted on the object is only due to this liquid, and that depends on the volume inside the liquid only. So that means this volume means not the complete volume. Here volume means how much volume of the object is inside the liquid, that much upthrust that particular object will feel. Second point is if the volumes are equal, that means you can say if the object is completely submerged into two liquids or partially submerged into two different liquids. Suppose at one place you have taken water, at another place you have taken mercury. If the volumes of the objects, both the objects is equal, still they will feel different upthrust. What they will feel? They will feel different upthrust. Why? Because they have different densities. Density is the characteristic property of that material. So as soon as you have changed the material, that means you are liquid, even if you have taken the same solid object, even the portion inside the liquid in both the cases you have kept the same, still the upthrust exerted by both different liquids will be different because their densities are different. That means the first thing, your upthrust depends upon the volume inside the liquid. Second thing, it also depends upon the density of the liquid. Here we are not talking about density of this solid object, we are talking about density of liquid. As soon as the density will change, then the upthrust exerted by that particular liquid will also change. Third point is here center of buoyancy. We have already learnt about what? About center of gravity. Okay, center of gravity is actually a point on the object where we consider that its whole weight is acting. Okay, it doesn't mean that the weight will act only at one point, because the body will be made up of small molecules or atoms or particles. So each particle will have its some particular mass, and due to that particular mass each particle will experience one weight, but the resultant weight is considered to act at one point of that particular object, and that point is known as center of gravity. Alright, so here we have two conditions. See, if your object is completely submerged into liquid, completely submerged means like this, This is the condition of completely submerged. When the weight is equal to upthrust force, then the object is floating but submerged into the liquid. So in this condition, its center of gravity will be this one, and at the center of gravity the weight will be exerted, and at its center of buoyancy will also be same, and at the center of buoyancy, or you can say center of gravity, upthrust force will be acting. Okay, but if the object is partially submerged into the liquid, suppose some portion is inside the, now its a center of gravity will not change. It will be the, if the this is the center of gravity, then this will be the center of gravity and the weight will be acting in downward direction. But here the center of buoyancy will change, because center of buoyancy is actually the center inside the liquid only. That means you can say center of displaced liquid or center of the volume inside the liquid. That means this is the center of buoyancy now. Center of gravity will be above the center of buoyancy. So that means your center of gravity can be center of buoyancy, but not every time. Your center of gravity and center of buoyancy can be different, because center of buoyancy is actually the point where upthrust works. Upthrust is considered to be exerted, or here I am writing in short, that is where the upthrust works, means upthrust acts actually, otherwise you will confuse. Upthrust acts, whereas your point, this is buoyancy, okay, and point where the weight, where weight is considered to be acting, that is known as center of gravity. Now if your object is completely inside the liquid, then your center of gravity can be same as center of buoyancy. But if it is partially inside the liquid, then the center of gravity can be different and center of buoyancy can be different. Alright, next thing, why it is happening? Because you know, when the object will start moving inside the liquid, initially here when no solid object was there, there were only water molecules and they were living happily in their particular space. But now if a solid body comes here, and obviously this is liquid, this is solid, so it will have more density and it can displace the liquid. So if this much portion of the body, that means object, wants to be inside the liquid, then first it has to create this much space inside the liquid. And for that, what it has to do? It has to displace these liquid molecules which were initially sitting here happily. It has to displace those water molecules sidewise. It has to make this much space and then it can sit here. So that is the thing, center of buoyancy is always the center of volume inside the liquid only. Or you can say, and if this much portion is inside the liquid, then this object will displace only this much liquid. So that means the center of the volume inside the liquid or center of displaced liquid, both points will be same, because the object will displace only that much liquid, how much volume it has to submerged inside it. So in book again and again it is given center of displaced liquid. So please don't confuse. It's clear that the center of volume inside the liquid, that is known as the point of buoyancy or center of buoyancy. Okay, they can be same, they can be different. Okay, one more thing here I need to explain, that we are talking always that one weight is exerting in the downward direction and one upthrust is acting in this direction, and there can be a resultant force. That force can zero also. If both they will be equal, it can be zero. Otherwise you will get one resultant force. Now you see here one point we have to notice, that these both forces are actually acting in the same line. If they will act in the different line, you can say if their line of action is different, that means they are acting into different parallel lines, then they will produce torque. Right now, then we will not have any resultant force, but we will have torque. So that means your center of gravity and your center of buoyancy will be in the same line, but they can be the same points or they can be the different point, but still the point or the center of gravity will constant. It will not change, only the center of buoyancy can change. Okay, now the next thing is reason for upthrust. That means why the upthrust force is acting. This is our next topic. It is asked for 2 marks in exam, reason for upthrust. So in clear words or in one sentence, if you want to write down, then you can write down due to difference in pressure. Difference in pressure at different points, or you can say different depth, you can say different height, you can say, okay. And we have discussed it many times. That means if any particular object you are having inside any liquid, if you have one object, then you know that your object, if it is having somewhat thickness, then at this point, suppose this portion is coincide with the top layer of the water, so this portion of your object will experience one pressure and the lowest portion will also experience one pressure, and you know that both these pressures will be different. That means this pressure exerted or the pressure felt by this surface will be more because it is at a greater depth. This we have already seen in the previous chapter. So that means due to difference in pressure at both the portions, or you can say that top portion and the bottom of the object, this difference in pressure is actually giving rise to the upthrust. Now one more thing, here also the forces will be acting, but if you remember, we have learnt some laws of liquid pressure, and there you have said that the force acting in a horizontal or pressure exerted on the molecules of a horizontal line will be same. That means as the depth will increase or decrease, the pressure will change, it will increase or decrease, but in a particular horizontal line they will balance each other. So that means equal forces. So that means the upthrust force is acting due to the difference in the pressure at 2 points, that means the topmost point and the bottom of that particular object. Now rest of the things you know. That means here see, this is the force, this is pressure, because if you have a resultant pressure, then automatically you will have a resultant force also, and that is actually your upthrust. Please don't confuse, this is pressure, this is upthrust. I have written it in the sense of reason only. But if you have a resultant pressure, then you will have a resultant force or thrust also. Okay, but if the thickness of this object you will reduce up to a very small size, then this difference in pressure will also be small. Suppose it has only this much thickness, that means the upper layer is also this one and lower layer is also at a very less distance. So the difference between P1 and P2 will be very less. If liquid we are not changing, so density is same, G is not going to change, so that means only the height. So if the height will be less, difference between both these ends will be less, then the upthrust will also be less. So the reason is due to difference in pressure at a different depth or different heights or different portions of the object. Next thing is we have one derivation based on the same concept which we have discussed right now. In chapter number 4, if you remember, then you have learnt something like that. We have taken one cylindrical object, then we said that suppose the pressure on the top portion or upper portion, let it be P1, and lower portion let it be P2. Then you said that the P2 will be more than P1 because on P1 only the atmospheric pressure has been exerted, whereas on P2 atmospheric pressure as well as pressure due to all these water layers is also actually acting. So that's why you said that P2 was greater than P1. Along with that, since it was pressure in liquids or you can say pressure in fluids, so you also said that here that first pressure will be, if this first layer is at a height h1 from the that means surface of the liquid, and if this height is at h2, then you only said that it will be equal to h1 rho g and this will be equal to h2 rho g. Okay. And since if you are having the pressure, then you will also have the thrust, because you know that pressure is equal to thrust upon area. Therefore thrust is equal to pressure into area. Therefore if you will multiply this value by area, you will get the pressure or you can say the thrust. Alright, so if you have something as P1, then you will also have something as F1, and that F1, that is your thrust, will be equal to product of your pressure into area. Let the area be A. So in that condition it is H1 rho G and A. Here we are not changing the liquid, so in both conditions it's rho only, and G is constant at a particular place, so it is also constant. Okay, area we have also kept some particular fixed value, area of this particular cylindrical vessel. But if you have P1, you will have F1, and if you have P2, then you will also have F2, that is equal to H2 rho G and A. Okay, same concept which we have done in the 4th chapter. Here you can say P2 minus P1, because you know that P2 is greater, P1 is smaller, so you are saying P2 minus P1. So then you will also say that F2 minus F1. When you will subtract two forces, you will get one resultant force, and that force is upthrust force. So here H2 minus rho G, H2 rho GA minus H1 rho GA. Okay, from here you can take some things common. You see rho GA, that means you can take it common, rho G and A. Then what is remaining? H2 minus H1. H2 minus H1. This is remaining. Now in the 4th chapter we said that H2 minus H1 into area was equal to volume. In two-dimension objects we have only length and breadth, and if you will multiply it, or if you will include height with it, then that particular object will have volume. Right, this is area. If you will include height also along with that, then you will have its volume. For example, for a square you have area, but for a cube you have volume, because your cube also has height along with the area, that means along with length and breadth. Here in cube it will be both the lengths. Okay, so that means if you will include height with area, that will give you volume. So here also you can say volume, this is rho and this is G, and area already you have taken, H2 minus H1 into A, this is volume and this is rho and G, and that is formula for your upthrust. That means what we have done? We have actually calculated one formula for upthrust, that is equal to V rho G, and V means how much volume of your object is inside the liquid. Right now we have considered that whole of your object is inside the liquid, but that can be different, but don't worry, that will be given in the question. So that means the volume of that particular object inside the liquid. I have already said that we don't have to do anything with total volume right now, we will include it later. So how much portion is inside the liquid? Upthrust has to do only that much. So here the volume and density of that particular liquid, and G, that is acceleration due to gravity. This is the formula for upthrust, which has been actually taking place because of the volume inside the liquid, and due to difference in the pressure there is difference in the forces also, and difference in the forces give us one resultant force, and that is the upthrust. Okay, here one more thing they have included, that is, we know that density is equal to mass upon volume. Therefore you can also say that density into volume is equal to mass, right? I have taken this V here. Density is equal to mass per unit volume, therefore density into volume is equal to mass. Can you say that this is density? Yes, what will you say? It's obviously density only, rho, and this is volume. That means density into volume, density into volume. Can you write it as mass? Of course you can write. So for FB now you have one more formula, that is mg, and you know that this mg is nothing but weight of the body. Okay, but here in your book some words has been written, that is the weight of liquid displaced by submerged part of the body. I will not write that long, but I will write some short, that is weight of displaced liquid you can say, or submerged part of submerged volume of object or body, whatever. That means again here the same concept they have used, that how much portion of the body is inside the liquid, that much upthrust only we will feel. So again and again in this chapter we will come to this word displaced liquid. Displaced liquid is actually equal to the volume of the object inside the liquid, and upthrust works only due to liquid, so the portion which is inside the liquid, that will only exert the upthrust. So we have to work only with the displaced liquid. So that means it is weight, your upthrust is weight only, but not the complete weight of the object. It is the weight of the portion, some portion of the object which is inside the liquid. But if your object is completely submerged into the liquid, then both weights can be equal, right now? So that is one another possibility that we have already seen in floating and sinking. Rest of the things we will see in the next class. Thank you.